Pedro, just a couple of minutes here to get reset. Best of 5. AC, I mean, Adriel has gone 9-1 on the weekend. Pedro has been absolutely dominant all day today. He's looked untouchable. Do you have a favorite in this? Are you going to go with Pedro? I feel like you're kind of leaning in his direction, but Adriel's definitely had the better 2 days of. That's when Viper was able to turn things around with that MK Prince deck that just completely overwhelmed Pedro. And then game number 4, able to take things home with the Boss Bandit plus the Drill deck. Here we go. Grand Finals coming your way. Can Adriel close it out in this best of 5, or will we be pushed to a reset? We're about to find out.
Adriel going to be running the Machine Empress Gob Giant deck that we've seen more than I expected. I expected a few players to run it. I expected Zopsam to use it, of course. But, I mean, most of these players are trying their luck with it. And, I mean, it makes sense. It's one of the strongest decks in the game. And Pedro on the other side going to be running some version of Bridge Spam. Can he get the Ghost out in time? He doesn't. That's 3 shots. 3 important shots from the Lumberjack.
Yeah, really nice rage play there by Adriel just to clean up that last little lick of HP and then gets the Lumberjack on tower. And now Pedro going, anything you can do, I can try to do better, but the Gob Machine going to come out and tank both lanes, kiting all those units to the center of the board. Untouched, basically, is Adriel. And a big Lumberjack connection on the left-hand side leaves Pedro wanting.
And I forgot to give an official answer, but I actually do have Adriel winning set 1. I have him just winning it overall without
it out,
the need
huh?
for, yeah, no bracket reset necessary.
We shall see if that's the case as of right now. Looks like you're right, but still very, very early in this game, and even earlier in this set. Spirit Empress comes down. Did you guys know that interaction? Well, now you do. Stops the battle ram at the bridge, stops the charge, but allows the barbs to come in and get a few hits. I don't love that, but I'm thinking that Adriel's got a good plan here on the right-hand side, or excuse me, left-hand side.
And right there, gonna use the rage on top of the Empress. I don't know. That was just so interesting. I expected him to use it on top of the Mother Witch, try and take that out. Instead, electing not to do that. And that is a healthy battle ram, getting on top of the tower, but the grounded Empress. The grounded Empress put it in work.
Don't ask me what I want it to be called. I like the grounded Empress, though. I think that's pretty good. That was such a weird use of what felt like an advantage from Adriel. It felt like he had an advantage and just completely threw it out the window, and it felt like it was his cycle he had no idea what to do with. Like you were talking about, using that rage on the Spirit Empress just ended up to be a lot of damage taken. Now he's got a decent push on the left-hand side by baiting out the Elixir on the right. 17-20 to 13-10. Favor still in Pedro's corner as this Golden Knight needs to be stopped. Battle ram behind.
Gets it down just in time and then shoots from long range as well. So beautiful defense from Adriel, and that's going to be trouble on the left, trouble on the right. The Ghost not doing anything. The Empress, the Lumberjack on top of the tower, has to worry about the left side, and somehow, some way, Pedro is still alive. I thought he was losing both towers.
Yeah, he was somehow comes in, retargets the Spirit Empress on the right, gets enough damage to slow things down on the left, and this has just been a game of absolute haymakers being thrown back and forth, exactly what you want in the finals. And now we see Evo Lumberjack push with Battle Ram behind, Golden Knight at the bridge, trying to get that Golden Knight connection. Evo Lumberjack going to battle against one another, doesn't get on tower though.
Yeah, really expected it to get to the tower. Ghost going to be able to take out the bomber. The minions are going to be able to take it out in time, I believe, and that is going to be the case. But Mother Witch spawning some hogs. And I mean, this is just pressure on pressure from both of these players.
How does he stop the push on the right-hand side? Misses the arrows on the bomber, but doesn't matter. Goes for the arrows on the minions. Minions come down late. Battle Ram connects. Pedro gonna be able to take this game, maybe, as the machine is on the left-hand side and now is on top of the tower. 58 HP remains.
He should have arrows in cycle. He does get it down in time. Cal Pedro.
Wow.
I mean, what a game number 1. Just back and forth, crazy defenses, crazy mistakes. We saw both of these players make uncharacteristic mistakes. And yo, man, this is exactly what we wanted to see from game number 1 from these players.
What a away from that push by bringing pressure on the opposite side of the board. And that's exactly what Pedro did time and time again. As we hop into game number 2, can we reset? Is the question that Adriel is asking himself.
Pedro going to be running what looks to be RG Monk. Adriel on the other side going to be running Skeleton Barrel Mortar, most likely. And, you know, it's just so refreshing to finally, I mean, I don't know if I want it to stay this way and how I'll feel about it long term, but we're 2 cards into both of these guys, and it just feels like we already know their decks.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also know this matchup pretty well because I am a Mortar player, and I don't love it. I'll be honest. I really, really don't love it, especially if they have Lightning. That Mortar starts to become less and less impactful as the game goes on. The Evo Wizard does a really, really good job of dealing with everything at the bridge with the Monk right in front. That Monk's going to put in work on the Cannon Cart and the Dark Goblins, so maybe it's just because I really hate playing against this version of RG that I feel so negative about it, but, you know, Adriel's obviously 1,000 times better than I am, so maybe he can play through this. It's just tough when you have the E-Spirit there as well, AC, because now there's something in the Skeleton Barrel that can usually get you a positive elixir trade that is now getting you a negative elixir trade for just a small amount of damage.
Yeah, and right there, dropping the Rage instead of, you know, some other card, some Log, some Bar Barrel, the Rage does make this quite a bit more intimidating if you are Adriel, and we see him setting up with the defensive Mortar, and I mean, I definitely don't mind it. You know, I think you kind of, I'm sure it's an incredible play, but this is definitely a precarious situation for Adriel.
It is good that it's the the Fireball instead of the Lightning. I feel like because of that being the case, the health of the cannon and the health of the Evo Mortar just have a little bit more legs, but again, you just see this coupling of the E-Wiz plus the Cannon Cart plus the E-Spirit if you need it. Now you get in the late Monk that's going to stop the Dark Goblin. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say. I guess Adriel needs to really make you use all of your abilities and kind of get your units out of sequence up high. But there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Everything's spent. You got the Monk off the board. You got the E-Spirit out of play early. It comes back into play for the bats. The Mortar still tanks for a bit. And you still take that RG shot.
Yeah. Adriel gonna really need to figure something out if he wants to bring himself back into this game. And right there, Rage almost a little bit too early from Pedro, but not gonna be a problem. RG, with the help of the Fireball, should get one shot. Wow. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, what you do. I feel your pain, Adriel. Show me how to beat this.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at the matchup and you try and figure out how you are supposed to beat it, the problem is, against a player of Pedro's caliber, a lot of the answers that you can think of are not real answers. Because, you know, sometimes you can try and get the E-Spirit out of cycle, but then he's going to have the Rage. You try and get the Rage out of cycle. Just everything he does is so pitch perfect. But right there, I think we got a couple extra skeleton shots. So, yeah, there's a shot.
Double drop, skeleton shot. Yeah, there's the E-Spirit for that, though, so... Dark Goblin right behind High Fishboy. Okay, so now the Fishboy's out of cycle. I like the early Fireball before the Monk ability comes in. Oof, man, those guards, that was dangerous.
Yeah, super dangerous. Monk not going to be able to make it to the tower. 1 minute left. It's a close game. Pedro with definitely what looks to be the advantage.
1690, 1974, 75 seconds remaining. Bar Barrel comes out to get on top of that. Evo Wizard, Monk plus Fishboy making some work on the left-hand side. I like the push that Adriel's putting together. Here. I just still don't know if it's going to break through.
Yeah, the problem, there's just way too many problems occurring for Adriel. The Evo Wizards, the Monks, there's just so many different ways to defend for Pedro. And right here, Mortar, I like it. I like everything he's doing. It's just, it's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I know this is really selfish of me, but I feel a little bit better after watching this game because really, when you run into them I mean, you don't have a barrel here or a log, but you have the Rage, which is essentially doing the exact same thing. The E-Spirit is such a great card in the meta right now, and especially against this deck specifically, AC. The bats are a non-factor. They will always be in or something. It feels crazy to me. So anyway, I digress. Great game number 2 there for Pedro. Great set so far for Pedro, who has yet to lose a game and is just one game away from pushing this to an upper bracket grand finals reset, where we'll be seeing one more best of 5. We have to see a reverse sweep from Adriel starting right now.
So one point I really do want to give a quick shout out to for both of these players is that when it is a 2-0 situation in a bracket reset final, I find that the most effective way as either one of these pro players is to not give any new information. If you take game number 3 and you are Adriel, well then maybe depending on one of the matchups that you might be able to get, you could try for game number 4, try and push it to a game number 5. And then on the opposite side, if you're Pedro, you don't want to give any new information. You're already up 2-0. You can afford a loss, still be fine with the way you're playing. I think it's necessary for both of these players not to show anything new in a game 3.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't think I'd ever really thought about that macro strategy, but I think I agree. Yeah, I think the idea of me, Adriel, going 3 in a row feels really unlikely. And then if I'm Pedro, the idea that I'm not going to win one of the next 3 with something I've already played before also seems really unlikely. So I think that's a great little piece of analysis, Josh, that I don't know if we've really talked about before.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, calm down. It's all right. Calm down.
I wish you wouldn't be so surprised.
I'm very surprised.
That's actually decent. Yeah.
Rocket goes in to get some good rocket value on that left-hand side. Adriel going a little more aggressive here in this game, obviously recognizing that he's going up against another rocket. I think Adriel's damage obviously feels like he can put out a little bit more because he's got the Skeleton King and the drill, whereas Pedro's playing just straight minor control with rocket. But it is Pedro playing minor control, which is really, really scary. I do love this macro understanding of the matchup by Adriel, though, and just going hyper aggressive.
Yeah, right there. Adriel definitely getting very, very aggressive, but Adriel is having quite a bit of success as well. And a relatively close game right now, but as we head into OT, it just gets so hard to stop these drill plus rockets pushes.
What a weird game, man. We're literally just gonna see like minor plus rockets for this entire next I would say 2 minutes, but I don't think it'll even last that long. But it's just such a this is when you know that they're just playing at different levels than you. And now we finally see no, never mind. I thought we were gonna see something different, but just another rocket in either direction.
Yeah, it's always kind of fun when you can kind of like turn off your brain. You just know how the rest of this game is going to go. And then it's just like, as one of these players, you're just trying to find that slight advantage. What can you do that your opponent won't be able to pull off? And right here, Adriel, it really just came down to you got too big of a lead too early on, and should be able to take game number 3 here.
Yeah, interesting. And now, Josh, that question kind of just goes, I'm going to throw it right back in your direction after that point that you made at the top. Do you, now if you're Adriel, because you're recognizing, look, I'm only 1 game away from being even, and I'm only 2 games away now from winning the whole thing, does sense to run one of them. So here we go. Game number 4. Adriel hanging on for dear life, but he does have a life to give. Pedro needs to win 1 more to push this to our upper bracket grand final reset. We'll see if we get there or not.
You know, it's always going to make sense that the player in the winner's bracket is going to have, traditionally more success than the player in the lower bracket. But it feels like 90% of the time, the player in the upper bracket is going to be able to win the first set. And so it'll be interesting to finally see a bracket reset. I feel like we get one of these like maybe once a year, but it feels longer than that.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. And this is actually one of the other decks that I was thinking should be run would be Royal Giant, because Royal Giant has been so dominant. We did still have Evo Furnace, and P.E.K.K.A is out of play. Not that we see a lot of P.E.K.K.A anyway, but because P.E.K.K.A and Lumberjack were out of play, Berserker's out of play, all of a sudden you start to see that Royal Giant be just a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and right there, actually, pretty massive mistake to miss the bar barrel. It shouldn't. I mean, he should be giving up one shot. Instead, with the help of the heal spirit, he's not going to give up any damage whatsoever. But Adriel with a good play with a monk activation. I saw earlier the monk activation on top of the furnace only allowed the furnace to shoot itself twice. Right there, he had the perfect timing, and the furnace shot itself 3 times. So, really like that micro coming in from Adriel.
There we go. Great time to use the ability. Waits for the cannon cart. Waits for Boss Man to go back and come back. I don't know if this is going to work. Kind of? Question mark? That's a really interesting interaction. I still am learning the Goblin Curses interactions. Even though it's been in the game for a minute now, it feels like people are using it so much more now that, like, some things like that moment, you're like, is that the right play? I guess it is.
Yeah, it does a shocking amount of damage to the tower. So I've learned to just kind of throw it down and pray something goes well.
Yeah, and it seems to honestly be working for the most part in the meta right now. Cannon cart opposite lane. Once the monk's down on the left-hand side, monk running into this furnace. A little bit of frustration, but we'll take it off board as the second furnace comes down here for Pedro. A very even game as we're about to get into overtime. No Royal Giants have come down yet.
Right there, really good timing with the Goblin Curse plus the Zap. Able to spawn and take care of the Evo Furnace. Right there, Lightning coming in from Adriel.
Yeah.
Okay, so RG Lightning, and still kind of wondering what Pedro's last card is. Triple small spell. I mean,
it feels like it has to be like a ram. Yeah, there we go. I was like, it feels like it has to be either be a battle ram or a ram rider. And Ram Rider finally comes in. Evo Zap to clear a little bit of space, but Boss Man will get a charge. There we go. Heal Spirit to soak it. Does get one hit though. And we are very, very close here. 25:01, 24:56. Ram Rider.
Ram Rider defended by the Fisherman plus the E-Wiz. And right there, ability activated, gets 2 shots on top of the furnace right there. And Fisherman
might not see the Royal Giant at all this game. It feels like he knows the RG could just give away too much elixir without getting any value out of it. It could turn into a horrible dual lane counter push. So instead, I think he's just going furnaces where he can. There we go. RG finally comes down. Gonna go opposite lane here to the left-hand side. Should get a shot. And that should actually just sew up the game, because look at what he baited out. The cannon cart and the furnace for the lightning.
Exactly. I think you're exactly correct, and that he was waiting until triple elixir. I think that's the only time that he was going to be allowed to do that. And all of a sudden, it looks like Adriel has a chance to pull off the reverse sweep. He's obviously going to need to defend for the next 30 seconds. It can always be difficult against any type of Ram Rider deck, but you have E-Wiz, you have Fisherman, you have all the answers that you could possibly need.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect call there. I mean, that's exactly what I think I was maybe apparently trying to get to, was just, yeah, you can't wait until you have to wait until triple elixir so you can actually get that lightning in on the units that you need. He was already creating a good push on that right-hand side, and then, yeah, between the Fish Boy, the Log, and the E-Wiz, and even the Heal Spirit, which can help with the E-Wiz on defense against that Ram Rider, you've got a great way to just stop any semblance of offense. Beautifully played by Adriel, and we're going to game number 5 for all the marbles, man.
Wow. I mean, 2-0, it looked like all the momentum in the world was going to Pedro. It looked like 9-1 meant nothing. This is the finals.
I really would love to see it, Josh. I really would. And here we go. Wall breakers to start from Pedro, already letting me down. Adriel taking the damage. That's lava. Only a lava player would take that much damage to start. Dang it.
Okay. Was Doom the one that ran Lava Giant, or am I? No, Lava Hog or something like that. Okay.
We don't talk about that. Doom and I have moved past that moment. We're friends now. We don't talk about the secret Hog Rider lava play at World Finals.
Okay.
Big shout out to Doom. Big shout out to Doom. Big fan of the guy.
Pedro gonna be running. Wow, I cannot believe Empress is actually available to him in game number 5.
Yeah.
Definitely should have been on the radar for Adriel, and Witch gonna be able to take out one of the wall breakers, but not both of them. So it looks like we do have Giant Graveyard coming in from Adriel, and Pedro gonna be running kind of a wacky wall breakers Empress deck. I have no idea what the next 3 cards are.
The range and the speed on that Empress is so impressive that Golden Knight was still not able to get off a dash. So Giant GY? No, there's a minor. Maybe it's just classic Giant minor. You know, with Evo Witch, just like we always dreamed it up.
Evo Witch, Evo Valk.
Goes to the wrong side of the of the drill and takes a lot of damage for it.
Yeah, this is honestly a pretty brutal match for Adriel. The miner, it's not going to get enough chip damage. You're kind of looking to make it to double elixir with only being down a little bit. Right here, another wall breakers gets to the tower. Pedro's in total control at this moment.
Yeah, this is one of those like kind of nightmare fuel moments where you're like, I'm in the 5th game of a best of 5 and I picked poorly. We'll see if Adriel can kind of turn this around. I don't really know how he will. The ability to create opposite lane pressure and the fact that he has poison, real tough here.
Yeah, this is a pretty decent push. I like what he did right there. A lot of expenditure coming in from Pedro. Might be able to get split lane action going, and Giant not going to be in front of the Witch, so just a Witch that's completely unutilized. I thought there was a lot of potential before that Witch was allowed to get taken out like that.
It looked like the Witch over the middle to the right was also trying to bait out something. This Witch will still get some damage. Should get like 2 or 3 shots in. Does get 3. So not completely out of the woodwork yet is Pedro, but definitely in his favor. 2 minutes remaining here in overtime. This could be the final game of the day if Adriel can turn things around. One thing that can do that is a big time. Oh, that's a good connection right there. Oh, the Mighty Miner was just close enough. The Spears, I think he can do it now. There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh
and
my.
the arrows. And the arrows. The Skellies are on tower. Witch is alive. This is an even game number 5. Pedro just saw his lead go right out the window.
I mean, this is incredible how he's been able to fight back. No Evo Witch in the cycle right now. Mega Minion going to be able to take that out. Arrows need to come out on defense. No arrows. Needs to get the dash. Not going to get the dash. That's going to be tower all the way down. I just don't think there's enough time for Adriel to do anything with this. But we're going to see with that Evo Valk getting a shot.
Send there. There's the poison coming in. That will do it. Only 157 was remaining beforehand, and we're going to an upper bracket grand finals reset. Adriel almost steals it, and Pedro comes alive in the final moments. Whoo, we are going to a reset, AC. That was absolutely wild.
I mean, 2-0, 2-2, 3-2, bracket reset, damage, and it becomes even more interesting when Muhammad Light isn't a part of the equation. It's just 2 guys battling it out. Both of these players know that this is their easiest route to the World Finals. There's so much pressure on these players because it's never going to get easier than this.
So here we go, looking at these 5 decks that got us here, AC. We started off with a P.E.K.K.A running in.
Yeah, always so entertaining to have those kind of players. Just because, you know, anytime you can get a reaction out of them, like you want to send that reaction to your mother, and it's like, look, like this guy reacted, and you know she's gonna say, why? What are we doing here, Mom? You don't get it. He doesn't react.
So here we go. Game number 1, bracket finals number 2. This is the last best of 5 for the whole thing.
Pedro starting out this set with the Evo wall breakers. His previous set, he had saved it for game number 5, instead electing to use it right away. Bomb tower going to be able to get the aggro from the wall breakers. They're going to go to the bomb tower instead of the tower. So always have to wonder if those are the correct decisions or the incorrect one. Right there, Fire Spirit not going to be able to do the dash properly, but with the help of the snowball, those goblins get a ton of chip damage. Monk crossing the bridge. I would have liked to see the activated ability just a little bit earlier. Beautiful wall breakers. If even one of these makes it to the tower, that would be one of the better interactions I've seen in my entire life. Instead, neither do, but still a very clean defense for 2 Elixir. 132, one thing to recognize when looking at both of these players and the utilization of their Goblin Drills, a lot of these players are going 1 tile to the left, and we see that right there. And the reason why is because you don't want your opponent to be able to predict with a building, have the Goblins all target the building. When you place it 1 tile to the side, they start chipping away at the tower. So that's why you're seeing kind of a new meta with the Goblin Drill placements. Spirit Empress taken out by the minions. Zap on top of the Fire Spirit. That's going to be a Lone Knight on the right side. We see the drill again placed off to the side. Doesn't want to give too much value to the bomb tower. Forces out the Evo Snowball. So Evo Wall Breakers for Evo Snowball. Fair trade from both of these players. Flip minions, always a fun interaction to watch. The 2 minions on the right side can be able to clean up the guards incredibly nicely. We'll have to go Goblin Hut on top. That's a 5 for 2, and still not really doing anything to the Monk or the Empress. Needs the tower to help out.
Nice lead here. Moment, not a lot, but still very, very close. Poison coming in. Just, I liked it. I'm very happy that I'm seeing both of them playing very calm and collected.
Yeah, definitely one of those things where you're not surprised and you can't even be mad at a player to not be able to like reset in time, but both of these players immediately doing so.
Minions plus Knight. Ability going to come in to clean up those minions. Obviously a lot more apparent now that they are ranged instead of long melee, but it did work before.
Hut gonna wake up, take out the Monk, needs to go with a Knight high, and definitely a much needed Evo Snowball.
Yeah.
Minions gonna be able to clean up everything right there, and I like that Pedro's still going multiple lanes, trying to get, you know, just force out mistakes from Adriel.
Yeah, it's always rough when you have to use the Evo Snowball defensively. It hurts just like using the Evo Mortar defensively, but sometimes you just got to do it, man.
And right here, this is going to spell trouble. Not going to be able to defend either of these wall breakers. Bomb tower on top, and a beautiful situation from Adriel just because of a really unlucky timing for Pedro.
Yeah, and the bomb tower coming out is interesting just because we haven't really seen much of the bomb tower at all weekend, and it does just feel like one of those cards, and especially in a best of 5, that you want to keep your best defensive buildings available, and bomb tower is still not bad.
Right there, bit of chip damage. Evo Wallbreaker is going to come down the lane. Miner going to be able to protect one of the wall breakers with the help of the zap, getting the tower down quite low. Pedro needs to figure out something incredibly quickly, but I do not think it's going to happen.
Yep, and there we go. Adriel taking game number 1, starting off this set the opposite way as the previous set, as he's able to pick up a nice even game here against Pedro. So we'll see. We'll see how these next couple games play out. Game number 2, just behind by 20 seconds or so. Not the end of the world, as we see an Evo Mortar in our second Evo Inferno Dragon on the weekend, I believe. I think we saw one yesterday. I'm seeing one now. It feels like looks of Lava Hound.
Yeah, it's definitely going to depend on the final, like the remaining cards for Adriel, but going against Dark Goblins, Spear Goblins, Goblin Gang, Quick Pressure, it's just, I don't know. It gets weird for both players. So Gonna be really interesting to see how this turns out.
Yeah, as of right now, though, just no good target for that Inferno Dragon. But I guess one part of it is if it stacks up its evolutions, then it could maybe just singe through all these units pretty quickly. But that's a lot to have happen.
Yeah, Pedro with quick reaction time, gonna be able to protect his mortar, get 2 shots from it. Adriel also reacting relatively quickly, so you know, 2 shots isn't the end of the world, and double elixir on its way in about 30 seconds.
Dark up high, clean up the minions, gonna come around the bend there and deal with the, doesn't even need to, still in range, now deals with the God Brawler. And man, I just have no idea how a real offense is gonna have to be put together here from Adriel. I really don't. I mean, maybe the Evo cage is better to not have because I don't know what unit you're trying to pull in, but I don't think the Inferno Dragon actually does you any favors in that sense.
Yeah, but he does have a 3 elixir lead, and Evo Gob Cage out of cycle. Yo,
just looking for the positives, man. I respect it.
So, you know, definitely still has an opportunity. But yeah, I mean, there goes the lead that he had. It feels like...
You're like, it's clear he owns a TV, which is great. I love television. I can see it there in the background.
And Skeleton King as well, so even more trouble.
Allow that to connect, but not really doing work. Sets up a good pusher on the left-hand side. I'd love to see Skelly Barrel pop in front of that, but instead catches it with the gang. Now can go Skelly Barrel opposite lane if he wants, but instead decides to use the ability and use some spears.
Cage gonna be able to defend relatively nicely. Gonna be able to pop out before the Evo Gob Cage can, before the Evo Mortar can lock onto the tower. Still plays the Valk down as well. But yeah, he's just struggling so much to defend this. Yes, he can get the cage out in time, but no, it's really not gonna matter.
Yeah, right. Now he has to deal with the Sparrow, so he has to drop his Valkyrie back on the ground. That's another Skeleton King ability coming in. That's a splash from the mortar on tower. One of those spears, 2 of those spears, all the spears reconnect. There's the next hit on tower. No win con coming out here for Adriel. A brutal back-to-back for him. It starts off real strong in game 2. I know it's all evened up, but I think just on their faces, you can see that Pedro's feeling himself just a little bit more.
So Pedro could be Hog after seeing the Ice Spirit plus the Firecracker. On the opposite end, Adriel Zerker plus Bomber. We could see Goblin Giant, but after seeing the Tesla, maybe the Drill Rocket deck that we had seen earlier, I think in the previous set.
And there's the Drill. Ice Spirit for the Skellies. More Skellies for the Ice Spirit. Now you want to look at it, log the cleanup.
You know, the evolution of the placement of Goblin Drills, it felt like it was about time. I was kind of surprised that there, I mean, it's been out in the game for a year, 2 years, whatever it is. It felt like people are finally, it feels like people are finally starting to understand how they should be playing it.
Yeah, the variability of the placement on it is really nice. It also keeps your opponent guessing of where they need to play their troops. I actually really love the super deep Goblin Barrel in the corner, that because people are so used to defending up high that sometimes units will just walk away completely and then they have to spend another one. So yeah, I agree. I think the evolution of placement on Goblin Barrel is something that's really interesting, and I'm glad that it happened. It's just fascinating that it took so long for it to happen.
Yeah. And as we are 20 seconds away, a beautiful prediction right there from Adriel. Oh my goodness, gorgeous prediction. Wow. And you're gonna get, you're gonna force out skeletons. I mean, that's, you know, one of those plays of the game, plays of the day, really. And I mean, that's the difference between taking 900 damage and then forcing out extra elixir. Wow.
Absolutely. 4 elixir advantage there. Decides to use 2 of it on the Berserker because the boss bandit was out of cycle, so he's not actually able to put in a good push. So kind of unfortunate cycle-wise, but I still like the idea of how he's using the advantage to his favor, even if he's not going to get much out of it. Does get a little bit of poison damage, does maybe mess up the cycle, and should get a King Tower activation. So at the end of the day, all things kind of fell into place nicely there for Adriel.
Yeah, really good spot. Drill placed off-centered. One of the goblins going to be able to almost 1v3 the skeletons instead of the final third Larry. Going to be able to take it out, and Evo Tesla over the middle to take out the hunt.
Someone in the chat saying, are these guys noobs? Why aren't they playing Mega Knight at the bridge first play? Couldn't agree more. Would love to see it as a knight goes down. Gosh, that ability is just so annoying when played well. You can see right there, just that boss bandit has been on the board forever. And that is a big reason why we're able to see Adriel get some decent damage in. Another drill in as that same boss bandit's still on the board. And again, this isn't like massive amounts of damage, but you don't need massive amounts of damage. A goblin stab here, goblin stab there, that's all you really want.
Yeah, as long as you're able to protect from the firecracker, you will be able to win. But obviously that's way easier said than done, and there's so many different opportunities for Pedro to do something, and right there, can he get it out on time without taking any damage? He does.
Wow. And he defends the hog in the opposite lane and keeps the boss bandit healthy. Another hog comes down. There's the firecracker high. Late snowball and the ice spirit. Absolutely beautiful, Josh.
And right there, boss bandit on the left side, getting the left tower down. Log out of cycle. That's going to be a bomber on top of the tower, plus the goblins, plus the berserker. Adriel taking game 3.
The micro, the macro, the two of them combined from Adriel in that game, always ready for that firecracker. Number 4, coming down the pipe, could be it. Let's go.
I mean, I love what I'm seeing from Pedro. Use one of the best cards in the game. You need a win. You need to play one of your best decks, your strongest decks. I think Furnace. This is actually a perfect deck in my opinion. And he's going to go Furnace, Monk, plus what I thought was here in Archie.
Right? Is it still going to be? We saw Ewiz with RG a lot yesterday.
Okay, so it is still going to be RG.
And high fish boy to pull, and that's some dangerous placement, but you love to see it because that's the confidence that you need right now from Adriel. Late fish boy, high pull, late gob hut, no damage taken.
So,
excuse me, one shot from the RG went in.
Definitely going to be a pretty big difference for how these defenses are set up. The difference between having the monk and the fisherman and the skeleton king, and all of those are going to add up quickly. And so wizard, skeleton king, goblin hut should be able to put in a lot of work, but I feel like it's just going to overwhelm him at some point.
Adriel having fireball is such a bummer right now for him, because if he had lightning, this would really help with the Ewiz and the Evo Furnace. It's so interesting because it just feels like there's so much more utility on Pedro's side of the board with the monk and the Ewiz and the Furnace, whereas on Adriel's side of the board, it just looks a little bit heavier, like downhill push, you know, like I need the Skeleton King and the RG with the Fish Boy and Evo Wizard behind. It doesn't feel quite as synergistic. We'll find out. Here we go. 1 minute just ticking by, only 50 seconds remaining here in regulation. Those Spear Goblins doing a good job.
Cleaning up everything quite nicely. Fisherman in the middle, yanking away for Pedro. Another Goblin Hunt put down on the map. Fisherman going to try and fish slap, trying to yank the monk away, not going to happen. And this is where it is. I mean, this is exactly what we expected. It's so difficult to really stop these pushes from Pedro.
And looking like a push coming to come down the right-hand lane here. There's the Fish Boy. Evo Wiz, Fireball Plus, going to clean both those up. And just like what we were talking about, there's very little utility to support Adriel's pushes, whereas you look on the other side of it, it like there's just so much more for Pedro.
Right here should activate the ability. He does. The Monk going to get the reflection twice on top of the tower. The Fisherman's going to gank the Monk instead of the RG. Going to be able to protect the RG as well with the help of the E-Spirit plus for the Furnace. I mean, perfection.
Yeah, and you know, the thing that's really calling out to me here, AC, is looking at the Skeleton King in this deck instead of the Monk makes me think, is Adriel trying to save the Monk for, I don't know, Hog with Monk or Balloon with Monk? There's got to be some other place where he's expecting to use that Monk, because there's no reason not to use it in this deck.
Yeah, and which is something I really don't like. I don't think you should be able to kind of predict that for the game number 5. I think it definitely comes down to it was a pretty big mistake, and one that gives Pedro all the momentum in the world.
Fireball coming in, gonna hit the hut, and the Lizard. Tower goes down. Once again, here we are. Best of 5, game 5. Last set we went 2 blue, 2 red, or whatever it was. It was 2 Pedro, and then 2 for Adriel. Now we mix it up. We go back and forth, back and forth. Game number 5 coming your way. Winner of this goes to World Finals. Loser of the next. I'm always happy to get a new emote. That's something that I will never get tired of in the game. Just like a best of the 5 upper bracket reset, we see Cannoneer top of your screen. Will we see Mortar here in the final game? I don't know. We already saw Skeleton King, so maybe not. There's Evo Furnace. Bomber coming out, bottom of your screen here, and a Spirit Empress. Something that Pedro has done in both best of 5s is keep that Spirit Empress for the final game.
So Zappy's recognizing that he's going to have the Empress, and on the flip side, Pedro recognizing that he's going to recognize it and running the Golden Knight as well. I love this back and forth between these two players, and Pedro also going to be running the Golden Knight.
And that Spirit Empress does end up taking out the Dark Goblin with the help of the Zap. Don't know if it would have done otherwise. It does one-shot it, but wanted to make sure. Was Pedro down 2 Elixir. As a... Oh! Okay. My hands are up in the air. I'm smiling.
Yeah. I'm just trying to gauge Pedro's reaction and to see if he looks frustrated, if he looks okay with it.
It was kind of a non-reaction. I was doing the same thing. Okay, that's it right there. That must be part of the conversation of why he feels okay about it, is because he can minor zap. But, ooh, I don't love that. It's a tough barrel to pick, where you all go one side and then cleaned up by a bomber for a -1 trade. And the connection there. So here we go. Another elixir pump comes down. Always thinking about the miner. Miner's the only way to get there. Miner plus zap. So probably want to defend it with zappies or golden knight.
Yeah, you do have the opportunity to split the zappies kind of just in front of the pump, and you should always be able to defend it pretty well and proper. Right there, Dark Goblin going to be able to take it out fully, but Miner gets the damage it needed, and Pedro going to be forced out a cannon, and takes a little bit of chip damage, but pretty solid defense.
Yeah, pretty solid defense. Golden Knight coming down this lane with a bomber in tow. Decides not to use the ability. Okay. And Miner goes to the back of the tower, so now he should be able to get a free pump down. Elixir pump. Okay.
Yeah, and we should see Zappies over the middle. Golden Knight high potentially. No, gonna go Furnace. And I like that. You're kind of okay with allowing him to get those dashes, but Adriel.
Oh! The miner to take out the Furnace with the curse allows the Spirit Empress to get on top of the tower. And right now, Adriel having a really hard time making this deck come together.
Yeah, it feels like it should get more value than it actually is. Berserker plus the Bomber gonna get a lot of value, but not nearly enough. And I mean, it's just like Pedro just dominating at this moment in time.
I feel like Adriel needs to get another pump down. He's got 100 seconds. He's got enough time to get another pump down and create a real push here, but he's not doing it. And the Miner's been out of cycle numerous times. He's got to figure out a way to use that 8th card to his advantage instead of just being a fun idea.
Yeah, and the Zappies do protect the Dark Goblin in time. That's going to be a curse on top of a bunch of goblins. So really unfortunate interaction right there for Adriel to get that kind of timing. And it's a little bit of chip damage. Fire Spirit going to be able to splash onto the tower. And 7 seconds away from triple OT.
That's right, OT coming in right now. No time to get a pump down in triple OT. For you guys that play at home, triple elixir pumps are not really the vibe. It's just too easy to make up the elixir that it takes to take them off the board. Drill goes into the left, excuse me, Barrel goes into the left-hand side. Not enough damage there. Good push coming in here on the right. And Miner up high. That Dark Goblin Evo Zap comes in. Great Evo Zap there from Pedro. Good cleanup on the left. AC, is there any way to break through?
You know, if there is, he's going to find it. He's stacking beautifully. He's setting up the correct bushes, getting himself a lot of offensive pressure. We're going to see an Evo Cannon be forced out, and that's going to be Goblins on top of the tower, forces out the Zap. We've got Fire Spirits trying to jump, trying to make those jumps.
15 seconds remain. Obviously, those Goblins not doing as much damage out of the fake barrel anymore. Miner goes to the back. There's the Dark Goblin to catch. Curse comes in, plus the Zap to turn it into a Goblin. Barrel comes in on the left-hand side. Is it enough?
Needs to try and get
Zap
the prediction.
Did he get it? I can't see the.
Yo,
I think he
Adriel gets it.
He got it.
Yo,
He gets it. He wins it. You can see by the celebration. Adriel takes game number 5. My goodness, what a time for our vision to go blurred to not be able to see the tower HP. He wins by 44 HP and takes the golden ticket. My God, that was such an incredible 10 games of Clash Royale, AC.
I mean, just Pedro, Adriel. I mean, it's just incredible back and forth the entire time. They played 10 games. At no point did they win more than 2 games in a row. It was so even the entire time. Adriel has to be so proud of himself. I mean, to go down 2-0, fight back, fail, but then succeed. There's so many emotions that you have to fight through. And we saw it. We saw it. I'm gonna send a picture to my mom. He reacted. He really did.
He really did. I know. It was actually his reaction that I was like, oh, he got it. He absolutely got it. You and I were both just dying to read the HP on the screen to see who it was. And then we saw a huge reaction from Adriel. But then at first I was like, is he mad? But then you can see on Pedro's face, he knew what had happened. 44 HP. This is how we started our weekend. Yesterday, we started with a 1 HP game. A 1 HP game loss. Sorry, Igor, to throw this back in the mix, but this is just for the narrative. 1 HP game loss where Wallace wins by 1 HP, and then we close out the day with a back-to-back best-of-5 upper bracket reset and a 44 HP win by Adriel. There you go. 15K in the bank. A ticket to World Finals. Pedro, $9,000 and a silver ticket. And you can see there, Viper takes home 7K. Third place, a good amount of points, but not quite what you want. And what an incredible Sunday, AC.
I mean,